up, guys, and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be giving over 1 year with my Mamba GTX3071R. If you guys are new to my channel, this is my MK7 GTI. We just did a full front-end refresh on this car, and now I want to talk to you guys about the main piece of this build, which is the GTX3071R from Mamba. We're going to go over my experience with this turbo and the reliability of it, the performance of it, my opinions on it, and then give you guys my opinion on whether it's worth it to buy if you're in the market for a hybrid turbo option on your MK7. Mamba has quite the reputation outside of the VW community, especially. I know this because my friend Kason works at Z1, and when he talked to them about me buying the Mamba turbo for this car, I apparently was laughed at. So I'm gonna go into detail about all that today and talk to you guys about this turbo and how it is not some cheap garbage that people seem to think Mamba turbos are. That can't give away my opinion on this turbo. So yeah, like I said, this MK7 is my personal car. It has been with this turbo for over a year. If you guys didn't see that video from last year, we tore this car apart in a weekend and some change. We were able to do the full setup, going from IS-20 stock intercooler, aftermarket intake, and that's really about it, to the setup with a front mount intercooler with a bigger turbo on it. We did all that in a weekend and some change. It was a really strenuous task on all of us because none of us are outside of Kason. My friend Kason are actual techs. Not all of us do this for fun. So we had to watch tutorials, we had to do research, we had to do trial and error because this doesn't use the standard Volkswagen lines for oil and coolant. So that took a little bit of work too, and there's no instructions included with these. At least they weren't when I bought this, maybe they do now. But there's plenty of good write-ups now. There's plenty of good videos to watch on how to install these turbos. And Boosted Turd does a really good job showing off the routing for the oil and coolant lines. It's a pretty straightforward install. If you're familiar with turbo installs in these cars, it's an easy peasy job. But anyway, let's talk about the turbo. First off, I want to go over Mamba's range. Now, this video is not sponsored by them. I wish it was, but it's not. And Mamba offers a good handful of turbos now. This is about this turbo in mid-23 and installed it in mid to late 23, I guess, in September 23. At the time, they only offered 3 different turbos. They offered IS38 based hybrids, which is actually why I chose Mamba. Part of the reason I chose Mamba, because there's a bunch of different options for IS38 based hybrids out there nowadays, but only one of them was ball bearing. Only one of them had a 9-blade turbine, and that was Mamba. So Mamba has 3 different options, at least they did at the time I bought this. They have the small GTX2867. They have this one, which is their mid-range turbo, the GTX3071R, and then they have the GTX3076. Each turbo has their own advantages and their own use cases. For the 2867, it is meant to be their most dailyable friendly turbo. The 2867 is of course IS38 based and has a bigger compressor and turbine size, as you would expect from an aftermarket hybrid turbo on a car. It's a really good turbo. It spools way lower than the rest of the Mamba line, but it does have a much lower ceiling in terms of power capability. Most of the time, 2867s will max out around 450 horsepower on these MK7 platform cars. Really solid turbo setup, and if you're looking for something that's a bit more streetable, but still want an IS38 based hybrid, that's the one to buy. Next up, the 3071R, which is what this is comparable to the Vortex XL, which is its main direct competitor. It has very similar sizing in terms of compressor and turbine, but of course utilizes the ball bearing cartridge that Mamba has been known for the last few years. They kind of started the ball bearing revolution in the MK7 platform. Of course, other turbos have also been ball bearing around the same time, but it seemed like because of Mamba's cheaper offering versus something like a TPC 700, that is why they were kind of the ones who started the ball bearing revolution. EQT has been prototyping it for a few years now, and I believe Arashi also offers ball bearing on their turbos. I'm not entirely sure. And I believe that we'll see pretty soon all sorts of companies offering ball bearing options on these cars. But also the 9-blade turbine. I was talking to my friend Wes, who almost had a video with him this week, but it wouldn't have been under very good circumstances. So I'm hoping he can make it here when there are good circumstances to be here. You know, if you guys want to send some good thoughts to someone, that's the one to do it to right now. But anyway, I talked to him. He was familiar with these turbos. He actually owned one for his Golf R that he never got to install because the car got totaled. And he was going to put me on Mamba, and I decided to, put my money where my mouth was and give them a try. And I absolutely love this turbo. It's been great to me. It is absolutely rowdy, and I just love it. So the reason I chose the 3071 specifically is I wanted IS38 pump, or E85 numbers on pump gas, which the 2867 could have easily done, but I wanted something with more headroom. So in the future, if I decided to go MPI, if I decided to go ethanol myself, I'd be able to get closer to Vortex XL numbers. These turbos are also, a few were at the time quite a bit cheaper than a Vortex XL. Nowadays the prices are pretty comparable, especially with Mamba's new lineup, including the Boom Slang, which is an IS-20 based version of the 2867, and the fact that their entire lineup now has anti-surge variations as well. So there's plenty of stuff to do with Mamba turbos. You can get anti-surge, which I think is one of the best things you can do for experience. It's a lot of really fun turbo noise, and if you're into that sort of stuff, get an anti-surge setup. I know a lot of turbos already offer that. Arashi already offers it. TPC offers it. EQT also has that in the works, but Mamba also does now. So definitely look into that when you're shopping around. If you want good turbo noise, get something with a anti-surge housing. So let's talk about reliability now, because I'm sure that is probably the question that everyone has when it comes to Mamba turbos because of their reputation for being cheap. So I have nothing bad to report. This car has not burned a drop of oil. I have had no issues with compressor surge or anything related to turbo failure. No issues with smoking, no issues with, like I said, burning oil, which would kind of be evidenced by seal failure in the turbo. All in all, this thing has been perfectly dead-proof reliable, and I have been nothing but impressed. Very, very happy with that. It's been so bulletproof. This car has treated me really well, even with the aftermarket turbo from a company that supposedly makes cheap stuff. So yeah, that's kind of important. Now, of course, this car is tuned for reliability. I'm only making 400 horsepower, which I know some people are like, oh, that's it? You're not even maxing out your turbo. That was kind of the point. I wanted this car to be just as reliable as the day it left Volkswagen, and that was why I had it tuned this way. But like I said, I wanted something with some headroom, which is why I went to the 3071 from the 2867. I spent a lot of time trying to decide between the 2867 and the 3071. And yeah, the only deficit is that it does lag a little bit, meaning that if you're trying to be, you know, kind of petty on the highway, you got to kind of get into it a little bit more so it'll spool up. But it is a fun turbo nonetheless. And I'll include some sound clips now for you guys to watch from a recent video where I mic'd up the engine bay. So as you guys can hear, it still makes plenty of good noise. And the 9-blade turbine on this model, which is no longer offered if you go for the anti-surge models that they now offer, they've gone back to a traditional 12-blade turbine. The 9-blade with a catless setup, if you had one, and a straight-through exhaust like an AW track or MBRP, it sounds like a tractor trailer. More tractor than trailer, but it sounds like a tractor trailer. It's a lot of turbo noise. It sounds like a TDI. It's really cool. This car is catted and has a Vibrant Ultra Quiet on the mid pipe. And when I didn't have that Vibrant Ultra Quiet, it actually still was quite pronounced. But I can only imagine if you had a hood dump or if we had like a full straight pipe that was catless, that turbo noise would be astronomical. Now, of course, when I'm put the Vibrant on there, I can't hear it anymore quite so much. I can still hear it if I put the windows down and I'm putting under the load, but yeah, I mean, it's a really cool sound. It sounds great. It's just awesome. I love that part of it, but of course they don't offer it anymore on their anti-surge stuff. But yeah, at the end of the day, let's talk about the last thing I wanted to talk about, my experience with it. It makes good power. It spools really good. It is definitely a late spooler. If you don't like turbos with a little bit of lag, go with the 2867 or the new Boom Slang that is IS-20 based, which means you'll get pretty close to factory spool on a GTI at least, or better than factory spool if you're in a Golf R. So at the end of the day, should you buy one? Should you put your money where your mouth is and buy a Mamba turbo? And I will say wholeheartedly, yes. Like I've said, I've had nothing but good experiences with this turbo so far. I've had this turbo on the car for over a year, 15,000 miles. It's been to the Dragon. It's been everywhere. I've done countless pulls in it. Pretty much daily, I do a pull on the way home from work, and this car has been completely bulletproof, has not skipped a beat, and I have nothing but good things to say about it. The prices have increased on them over the years. They have definitely found out their market and have learned that they're really good quality stuff. And so they're upping their prices. They even have started going to SEMA. Boosted Turd himself is at SEMA with them right now. And they just revealed the Yaris GR Turbo, Corolla GR Turbo, stuff like that. They are making waves now. They have definitely improved from their supposed cheap reputation, in my opinion, and it is an option you should look into if you have a Volkswagen Group car or a GR Corolla now. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this one up here though. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did, be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more content coming soon on the channel on this car. We've got a lot of stuff coming. You guys can go back and just watch the front end refresh we just did. Added some Hello horns, did a full light bar kit, kind of like Mark 8 style up here with these Mark 7.5 headlights, because my actual Mark 8 headlights broke. So Not necessarily broke, but just got gross and old. But yeah, still plenty of stuff to do. So thank you guys. I'll see you guys later and have a great day.
He used to call me DN. I stood for deadly nightshade, 'cause I was filled with poison.